for the infusion of positive energy into the lives of single Latter-day Saints everywhere. This is Joy in the Journey Radio.
And welcome back, peeps, to the wonderful, splendiferous, joyous episode of Joy in the Journey Radio. I am Lance, your host for Joy in the Journey Radio. Today is the 17th of November, 2021, and this is episode number 203. Chase purpose, not proof. Last week, I shared with all of you the pep talk I myself needed. As with everything I do with Joy in the Journey Radio, I hope I help someone else in some way. And it's funny how things turn out. I pled with the Lord to open the way forward, and in His infinite grace, He answered my prayer. His hand was very evident as I met with my advisor in a meeting that I had felt to reschedule earlier. Some of my earlier difficulties were resolved. Others remained, but the path to resolve them became more clear, and I felt a great sense of support in moving forward down that path. As I walked out of my advisor's office and across campus towards my car, I prayed with gratitude in my heart for the Lord's bounteous blessings towards me. And truly, those blessings have been bounteous, for they didn't end there. In the days since, I felt the burden of having too much to do in too little time lifted. I felt free like I haven't felt in quite some time. I still have lots to do, and I still don't know how I'm going to accomplish it all. But I feel as though I have more than enough time to do everything needful, even though I did the math and know the numbers don't fit. It's a great blessing from the Lord, and I realize my choice to chase purpose, not proof, paved the way for my blessings. Part of the difficulty I wrestled last week was feeling I needed to do more than time would allow. Meeting with my advisor helped resolve that by providing some clarity around exactly what effort was needed, and I felt the Lord's guiding and supporting hand. But the floodgates of feeling truly free and empowered opened only after I committed to my purpose. Don't get me wrong, I committed to my PhD program back when I gave up my employment, got rid of 2/3 of my belongings, moved the remaining third clear across the country, and accepted a lower standard of living, all to pursue a step towards my dream job. But I hadn't committed myself completely. I was busy with so many different things, all of them valuable, but not all of them conducive to my commitment. Complete commitment is always reflected in completely prioritized time pursuing it. Once I made that complete commitment and how I would spend my time, that's when freedom swept over me. That's when I felt I had the time I needed to do what was needed. That's when I felt I could truly achieve my potential. Too many never do that. Even if they have a purpose they say they pursue, they aren't really chasing after it. Instead, they chase after proof. By proof, I mean evidence they're accepted. They devote more time and energy to acquiring validation and belonging than to any life purpose. And by going off the path of their purpose, they go off the path of their potential. We all have a deep-seated need for acceptance. We all want to belong, and we all want to be loved. There's nothing wrong with those desires, but there is something wrong with not prioritizing your potential. And here's what's wrong with it. You're leaving happiness on the table. You think you're chasing happiness, but you'll never capture it by seeking to have something. Happiness isn't about having, it's about giving. Happiness is giving your all to all the right things for you. And one of those right things is achieving your potential. Let's look at an example. What do typical LDS singles do with their time, especially the time they aren't compelled to do anything? Many spend their so-called free time consuming content or soaking in social media, looking for love and belonging, pursuing proof, not purpose. Happiness doesn't come from having that special someone or having social media likes or indeed having anything. Happiness isn't about having, it's about giving. That's why pursuing your potential is linked to happiness. The more of your potential you achieve, the more you have to give, and the more happy you can be. You maximize your happiness by committing completely to your purpose, a commitment you demonstrate with the time you devote to that commitment. So take a look at how you spend your time and make adjustments where needed. Chase purpose, not proof. You'll find yourself feeling more free and more connected with the Lord, and that will bring you more joy in your journey. Back in a moment.
Joy in the Journey Radio.
Welcome back, peeps, to another wonderful, splendiferous, joyous episode of Joy in the Journey Radio. We are here in the JJ Zone today talking about the need to chase purpose, not proof. Too many of us are spending our time chasing after proof. We really should be chasing after purpose. Now, you know, going back to the monologue for today, I really am amazed. I really am amazed at just the goodness of God. Because, when I think about myself and my relationship with the Lord, I mean, that phrase that King Benjamin used, unprofitable servant, in his classic discourse, we see it, they see him using that expression there in Mosiah too. That's exactly the phrase that comes to my mind when I think about myself and my relationship with the Lord. I am an unprofitable servant. And yet, bounds of his graciousness seem endless. They seem non-existent, really, um, because it's just there's so much goodness that's coming to him, or rather from him to me, and I just I don't really have words to express the gratitude that I feel, and the incident that I was discussing there in the monologue. Like I say, it's really interesting how things turn out. Um, I'm looking at this weekly meeting that I have with my advisor, and earlier in the week he mentioned how he was attending this virtual conference, and was probably going to have some uh, difficulties with being available for uh, people in the class that I'm taking from him. And I noticed that it was on the same day that I meet with him for my weekly meeting. And so when I noticed that, I just felt inside, I just really felt prompting. It's like, you should offer to reschedule with this. I didn't really think that this was like, so I just thought this was just, I didn't really think anything of it, to be completely candid and honest. I just thought that this was just, just a nice thing to do. I didn't think that there are any, like, you know, workings in an overall plan. I, I didn't think anything like that. And, so, I offered to reschedule. He, of course, accepted. We, he offered a time. I said, well, no, how about this time? He agreed. And so we had the meeting rescheduled. And, when I went in for the meeting, it's exactly what I needed. It was just exactly what I needed because I was coming in super stressed, trying to figure out how am I going to get everything done that needs to get done. Because, like I said, I sat down and did the math. I sat down and did the math and said, okay, here's everything I need to do to finish things out for this month. I mean, I wouldn't even look at the semester. I was just looking at this month and saying, okay, here's everything that I need to do to get everything done this month that needs to get done this month. And, here's my estimate for how long it's going to take me. And then I, add up all those, individual tasks together. And then I compare it with the time that I actually have available, assuming it's like, okay, I got to have time for sleep. I got to have time for eating and, prep stuff. I got to have time for traveling to and fro. And just all the things I have to do and just say, okay, this is how much time I have, and compare the two numbers. And the one number of what I needed to do was a much bigger than the number that said, "There's so much time you got." I just, like I said, I did the math. I It doesn't fit, and yet I was meeting there with my advisor, and we were talking about everything that needed to be done, and the different efforts that I need to make to hit those targets by the end of the month. I just I felt an overwhelming sense of support. And that sense of support continued with me as I walked, out of his office, out of the building, and it was, crossing campus to get back to my car. I- It just, how do I say this? I just felt like there's if I just keep doing the best that I can, the Lord will help me as I move forward. I felt that sense of support that I really needed. And again, I don't know how it's going to work. You know, I trust that the Lord's math is higher than my math. I trust his math is higher than my math. So yeah, just because that's the only way that I can have this feeling that it's going to work. Because when I did the math, it didn't work. It's like this is not going to work, you know. And the only way I sit down and actually think about this. The only way I can really see this working is he's got to bless me with the ability to work more efficiently. Um, now, when I say he's going to support me, I don't think that everything I'm going to be delivering is going to be perfect. I don't think my performance is going to be anywhere near perfect. I think my performance is going to be good enough to get me through to the next step that I need to take in my journey. That's what I think is going to happen. And this sense of support that I feel, the only sense I can really make out of it, of how it's actually going to play out, is it's got to help me increase my efficiency so that the time I thought it would take me to do something is actually far more than the time it actually takes me to do something. Because you know there's only 24 hours in a day, and I mean, we have, some instances in scripture where, the Lord sort of stops time, so to speak. Um, but I don't think he's going to do that for me. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it would, suit his, if he has the power to do it, and if it suits his purposes, then he's going to do it. But I just don't think helping me in my little situation right now is going to be, you know, justification for him to do everything that we need to do, just like stop time. And you know it'll be kind of nice though. I mean, who would want a 25th hour in their day? uh, uh, that might be kind of nice, but no, I think he's gonna bless me with the ability to increase my efficiency to a point where I can be good enough within the time allotted. So there it is. There it is. And what more can I say to that? Now, um, meeting with my advisor, I got that sense that, yeah, everything's going to be all right. Everything's just going to be all right. And like I said, I was offering that prayer of gratitude in my heart as I crossed over campus because, I just was just wondering how this is going to work out. And I just didn't see the way forward. But, the Lord really sees the way forward. Thinking about this incident later, though, I really got to this. I had this like flash of insight, and this is where I want to devote the program today. Look at the time; it's taken me so long to get to the point where I'm trying to actually in explaining where I want to take the program today. Uh, yeah, like I said, unprofitable servant. Unprofitable servant. Keywords to remember here. uh, but like I said in the monologue, I started to feel a freedom and an empowerment that really came to me only after I completely committed to my purpose. You know, Once I had decided, up here in my mind to devote sufficient time to this commitment I have to my program, because before I wasn't doing that. Before, it's like I had tons of different good things in my life. And I was trying to fit everything in. And so I was devoting a little time here, a little time over there, a little time. up here. And, it's just, you spread yourself so thin. How do you really attend well to any of the things that you're attending? And so, you know, I, I felt like there just wasn't enough time to do everything that I wanted to do. And only when I just cleared out a bunch of those things and said, okay, you know what? It's not that I'm not committed to you. It's not that I don't want to do you. And it's not that I want to put you in my life. It's just that you're not going to fit right now. So I'm going to table you. I'm going to put you on, the back burner here. And I'll get to you later. Okay. I will get to you later. Right now, for this moment, for this month, for this semester, whatever smaller, increment of time you want to look at, I'm going to devote the bulk of my time to this. I'm going to devote much more time to this. I'm going to clear out a lot of these other little things. And I'm going to start devoting more of my time to this thing that I feel I need to be doing right now. So, in essence, what I was doing was aligning my time and the way I spend it and how I'm prioritizing how I spend my time with purpose that I really should be having right now at this stage in my life. And, you know, my degree program is, reaching a point where I really need to be devoting a substantial more, uh, you know, more time to pushing through and getting this done. It's demanding more of me than it was when I first started. The demands are increasing, and so the only way to go through is to, increase the amount of time that I'm spending on this in order to get through. Now, once I aligned myself, and I actually made that commitment up here in my head that this is what was going to be, I actually sat down and actually made the plan and said, okay, I'm going to devote this time. I must put this much more time to this purpose and this much more time to this other purpose. And, just with the overall purpose of my degree program. And once I got through to that, and now I'm devoting the absolute bulk of my time to this program. I'm obviously not, devoting all of my time to it because there are other things like Journey Radio. Hello, I'm still here. I'm still producing the program. So I still have other things in my life, but those other things have been substantially reduced. Substantially reduced. So once I made that commitment, that's when the freedom came. That just overwhelming feeling of freedom came to me, and that feeling of support that I felt earlier, that the Lord's hand was guiding things and He was going to get me through this, it actually came to me. So, philosophical, contemplative moments that I seem to be having here more occasionally, I just sit and ponder and ask myself, it's like, wow, what if singles everywhere could have an experience like that with their lives? What if, they could realize what their purpose at this stage of their life is supposed to be? And what if they could align themselves with that purpose? What if they could feel that same sense of freedom that I felt? How much more joy would they have in their lives? And so, yes, today I want to devote the program, and I know we're looking at the clock. We're like almost halfway through, right? We're like about halfway through. So I'm now, I'm going to spend the other half of the program today talking about what actually needs to happen so that you could feel a sense of freedom. We're going to discuss like the practical things that you can do inside so that you can feel free, so that you can feel empowered, so you can have more joy in your journey. Well overdue for a break as I'm looking at the clock now. So let's go ahead and take that break. And when we come back from the break, there on the other side, we are going to dive in to this topic. See you there on the other side.
Joy in the Journey Radio.
Welcome back, peeps, from that break. We are here in the JJ Zone, Join the Journey Radio. Today, talking about the need to chase your purpose rather than proof. And by proof, I mean social proof. I mean proof that you're actually accepted, proof that you belong. Now, as I was saying in the monologue, there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel loved and accepted and feel like you belong to, something that's bigger than yourself. Eh, These are deep-seated, basic needs that we all have as human beings. Nothing wrong with this. Nothing wrong with wanting to satisfy those desires. Where I think, we go, out in left field, or off the rails, or, whatever expression you want to use. Y- Where I think that we, deviate from the path of maximum joy is when we start prioritizing that search for proof over the search for our potential. The purpose that we really should be having. And, if you're not aligning what you do, the bulk of how you spend your time with what you really should be doing and are about, you are leaving happiness on the table. You are not going to have the maximum amount of joy that you can have. And quite frankly, I think a lot of us singles are actually struggling in our lives because we're not aligned with our purpose. We've talked here time and again about how you need to partner with the Lord and, adopt a personal ministry. This is exactly this is exactly what what I'm talking about today. I mean, really, it's like, talking about chasing your purpose. That's really just another way of saying adopt a personal ministry. You know, find the thing that you need to be doing in your life right now, the contribution that you can make to the world that makes the world a better place, and devote yourself to it. Now, devoting yourself to it, well, I mean, really what we're talking about is time. As I was, mentioning in the monologue, it's like I can tell you, I could tell you how committed you are to whatever purpose you say you have by just looking at how you spend your time. Because if the bulk of your time, is spent doing something else, then that tells me you're really committed to doing something else. Now, I understand, we all got to have some way to bring the money in to pay the bills. And so for a lot of us, that means work. In fact, for most of us, that means work. You got to have some sort of employment, some way to bring money in. I got that, right? I got that. But, our work is typically not going to demand all of our waking moments. There's going to be time that we have that we get to decide how to use. And, I almost said without consequence, but, in reality, it's like every choice we have has a consequence, right? It's like if I choose to use my time productively, that's going to give me a better consequence than if I choose to just waste the time and be unproductive with it. There's consequences to our choices, but we all have decisions to make on how we spend time. So if I take a look at the time that you get to choose what you're actually doing, I mean, most people would be like, if they could choose not to go to work and not suffer any consequence from it, they could still pay their bills and, whatever. Then I think the majority of people would say, You know what? I'm not going to work today." Uh, I really that's what I really think that's what would happen. So, you know, but a lot of we don't have a choice. Like if you don't go to work, then yeah, consequences for that. You can end up losing your job and with it the ability to pay bills. So, you know, that kind of time, I mean, I'm really counting that time when I'm talking about how you spend your time because in some ways you're not really free to choose how to spend that time. So the time that you do have though, how do you spend it? How do you spend it? Um, what are you doing with that? That if I look at how you spend that time, that tells me what you're committed to. I have I can know you're committed. So you could tell me that you're committed, to um, building this charity that you dreamed about starting. Okay, it sounds like a noble purpose. But if I look at your time and I see that, say, like, 60% of your time that's free for you to decide how to use is spent playing video games, then that tells me you're not committed to starting your charity. You're committed to playing video games. Uh, uh, See, there's no complication here with the analysis. It's really quite simple. Look at how you're spending your time, and that's going to tell you what you're really committed to. So if you want to commit to your purpose, okay, first you got to find out what your purpose is, and that's why I say partner with the Lord. Partner with the Lord. Let Him help you, show you, guide you into what that purpose should be for you. And once you learn what that contribution should be, and keep in mind, there may be a purpose that you have at this phase of your life that you don't have in the next chapter of your life. That's not good. That's going to be different from the next chapter of your life. I mean, when I'm talking about this purpose, I'm not talking about something that's solidly firm and concrete that doesn't change. It could change with time. You're just looking for, okay, what is the contribution I should be making right now? What is I should be doing with my life right now? How do I make myself better? How can I chase my potential, achieve my potential? What can I do now to achieve my fullest potential, to move closer to that right now? That's what we need to be focusing on. And when you get that personal ministry, that contribution that you should be making to the world right now, the thing you should be doing with your life right now, then you need to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to spend the bulk of my time chasing after this. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of you singles out there. They're just going to be like, you know, there are other things I need to be doing with my life, like finding an eternal companion. And I got to devote time to finding an eternal companion. Shouldn't I be committed to that? Shouldn't that take up the bulk of my time? It's like, look, you are chasing that when you chase after your purpose, when you chase after your personal ministry, and you spend the bulk of your time with that. You really are chasing after, your eternal companion, because number one, when you're focused on chasing after that eternal companion, then you're going to actually chase after your purpose. That actually makes you a better candidate. That actually makes you a more attractive candidate, because you're actually building a life that's worth sharing. And, when you build a life that's more worth sharing, that's more attractive, then, the prospect of being with you long term is going to be more attractive to somebody else. So just the fact that you're chasing after your purpose is going to make you much more attractive. And, you know, second, okay, I would say when you chase after your personal ministry, okay, you're more likely to cross paths with a quality person that you would want to share the life that you're building with. Okay, too many of us get so caught up in this mindset of, we have to go to a singles ward. If there's no singles ward, then there's no way I'm going to get married. Or we have to have these, huge singles activities where there are lots of people, because if you don't have that, then how are you going to meet somebody? There are plenty of examples where people did not meet their companion in a singles ward or at a singles activity. Plenty of examples. And I think we need to just, have more faith in the Lord, broaden our horizons, broaden our vision of what's actually possible. And, quite frankly, give the Lord more room to work a miracle in our lives, because we're actually constraining Him. When we approach this with the attitude, with the assumption, that's a faulty assumption, by the way, when we have the assumption up here in our head that says the only way this is going to happen is if this requirement is met. The only way I'm going to cross paths with my eternal companion is if I'm here in the singles word, or I'm here at the singles activity. So we're putting boundaries. We're putting boundaries around the space in which the Lord can perform a miracle. I think, that miracle we're looking for is going to be much more likely to happen if we take that space and we broaden it out, provide more space in which it can actually happen. And the way we do that is by changing what's going on up here in our head, changing the way we think, examining our assumptions, and replacing less effective assumptions with more effective assumptions. When you change your thinking, you change the way you approach things. That's going to change how what you say, what you do, and that's going to change the results you get. And then, once you get different results, then you can have a different life. But we got to change what we're doing up here in our heads. We got to change what's going on up here, because otherwise, we're just going to get same old, same old. So when you know what your purpose is, you got that personal ministry, and you devote yourself to it, then I mean, yeah, just follow the example I was giving there in the monologue, where you commit yourself completely to that purpose and demonstrate that commitment by, apportioning the bulk of your time, the time that you can spend, apportion yourself there on that thing, and you can feel much more free. You can feel much more empowered. Once you start getting going with this and you start actually, working with that, you're going to feel more and more empowered the further along you go with that. So, this is the path forward for a lot of us singles. I truly believe it. And yet, so many of us are wasting time not chasing purpose, but chasing proof. We're spending way too much time on social media looking for validation. We're spending way too much time, you know, playing video games or, watching movies, consuming content, essentially, instead of actually producing something that's actually going to help other people. We're spending far too much time with our own entertainment. We're spending far too much time looking for our own pleasure, when in reality, the path to happiness is about giving. So if you keep looking for your own pleasure, you keep looking for consuming content, you keep, absorbed in social media, trying to stay on top of what everyone else is doing, and, looking for validation, all these things, you're not going to be giving anything with any of this stuff. You're not giving anything. What value are you offering the world? How is what you're doing making the world a better place? No. The world becomes a better place not when you chase proof, but when you chase purpose. So find your purpose and chase after it. And then as you start to achieve your potential, the Lord will open up doors, and miracles will be wrought, and you'll see the Lord's hand guiding you in your life. I truly believe that He wants to bless all of us, but we need to change our thinking, change the boundaries that we're putting on Him. And then the miracle that we want can actually have more space and room to unfold before us. Time for another break. So let's go ahead and take that break. And when we come back from the break, I have some final thoughts to wrap up the program with today. See you there on the other side.
Joy in the Journey Radio.
Welcome back to that break, peeps. We are here in the JJ Zone, Join the Journey Radio. Today, talking about the need to chase purpose, not proof. So looking at the clock, it's like I really don't have that much time left for the program today. So I just want to leave you today with a final thought. And the final thought is this. When you're looking at your purpose, you're trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I should be doing with myself? Partner with the Lord. Partner with the Lord, and let Him show you, let Him guide you to where you need to be. And then once you find your purpose, just stick to it. A lot of us condition sticking to our purpose with, again, looking for that proof. We're looking for proof that, we're accepted. We're looking for proof that what we're doing is good. We're looking for proof that we are good. You just got to keep going with it. You can't be looking for the proof, and, I'm totally not, advising you to do something that I'm not doing myself. I've spoken time and again about how Join the Journey Radio is part of my personal ministry. It's part of my purpose. And, you can look and see. It's there on the website for everyone to see. Go to the blog, take a look. You know, th- I have a blog post for every Wednesday since January 2014, which was itself a Wednesday. And so, think about that though. How many Wednesdays have we had since January 2014? Hundreds. And I have a blog post for every single one of those Wednesdays. Now, look at how many comments those blog posts have garnered. Most of them have 0 comments. You can't be looking for proof as you chase your purpose, because if you look for proof as you chase your purpose, you won't be chasing your purpose. Eventually, you'll come to a point where you just give up on your purpose, because you're not chasing your purpose. You're chasing the proof. You're chasing the proof. So you have to, again, focus on the purpose. You have to go through, whatever you need to go through. Just chase after your purpose, and don't worry about the proof. The proof will come later. The proof will come in its own time. For me, what helps to push me through on my purpose is, again, I'm not looking at the proof. I'm looking at, okay, just accomplishing the objective. I need to put out a blog post. I need to put out a program for Join the Journey Radio. So I just work on that. And I don't worry about the proof side of it. I actually imagine myself taking all of that in my hands and giving it to the Lord and saying, here, this is my contribution. You can do with this what you will. You can use this as you will to help who you will, when you will. So, a lot of Wednesdays have passed since January 2014. Maybe some of those blog posts will never be used, but they're there. And the Lord can use any one of them, any number of them, anytime He wants. He can guide affairs so that somebody looking online can be guided to the blog post that person needs to read to get the information that person needs to adjust his or her thinking, to have more joy in their life, to overcome whatever difficulty they have in their life right now. I think about that. I don't need proof from people. I don't need comments on my blog posts. I mean, it's great, and, for those of you who are, longtime members of the audience, or even short-time members of the audience, I'm very grateful. I thank you. But it's not about the proof. It's about the purpose. So just keep yourself focused on that, and you can have more joy in your journey as you focus on your personal ministry, on your contribution that will make the world a better place. And at the same time, like I was saying before, you'll actually make yourself a better attractive candidate for somebody who's, could be an internal companion. So, just throw yourself there. Devote yourself completely to it. And you will find miracles working for you in your life. Well, that's all the time we have for Join the Journey Radio. I want to thank everyone for listening. As always, I hope I was able to offer you something that benefited you. And if you were helped by the program today, I invite you to pay it forward. Help somebody else. Pay me back by helping somebody else. Let's spread light and goodness into this world and push back against the darkness that seems to be growing day by day. Let's push back against that darkness with light and goodness. And don't forget, come back next week for another wonderful, splendiferous, joyous episode of Joy the Journey Radio. So until next time, this is your host reminding you, there is joy to be had all along your journey. Take that joy. Journey on.
This is I've been waiting for